know that feeling when you're standing in front of a mirror and you catch yourself trying to see yourself the way someone else would? Not the person in front of you, the person you left behind, the one who taught you what to hide. I was folding laundry when it hit me. American laundry rooms are loud. The dryer screams, the pipes clang, the whole house knows your business. In Sidi Bou Said, where my grandmother lived, you washed in silence, early morning, before the heat came. You carried the water yourself, and you never hung underwear where the street could see it. Not because anyone would say anything, because everyone would know exactly who you were. My name is Hareem. I'm Franco Tunisian. I spent my childhood and teenage years between Toulouse and Tunisia, my father's city, my mother's country. And now I live somewhere in the American Midwest where the winters are so dry, my skin forgets what humidity feels like. I moved here 4 years ago. For work, for space, for reasons that seemed clear at the time, and now feel like dreams I had about someone braver than me. This isn't a story about laundry, but it starts there. The first time I did laundry in my American apartment, I stood in front of the washing machine for 10 minutes, trying to understand why I felt nauseous. It was just underwear, cotton briefs, beige and white, the kind I'd worn my whole life without thinking. But here, the machine was in the kitchen where I ate breakfast, where my roommate, a girl from Ohio who baked banana bread on Sundays, could walk in at any moment and see everything I was trying to wash away. In Toulouse, my mother had a system. Laundry day was Tuesday. Underwear went in a separate mesh bag, washed on delicate, dried inside out on a rack facing the wall. In Tunisia, at my grandmother's, we scrubbed by hand in plastic tubs, and you never, ever let the men see the water change color. Blood was knowledge. Knowledge was power. Power, for women in my family, was always about what you chose to reveal and when. I was 12 when I understood that underwear could be a map. My mother's drawer was organized by country. The French side, closest to the bed, easiest to reach, held simple cotton, neutral tones, bought at Monoprix during sales. The Tunisian side, buried beneath winter sweaters, held the elaborate pieces. White cotton with hand-stitched lace my aunts had made, reserved for the first days of marriage, for hospital stays, for the body at its most vulnerable and most witnessed. I didn't understand then that she was living in 2 registers at once, that her drawer was a treaty between the woman she had become and the daughter she still was. I stole a pair once, the Tunisian kind, with the tiny embroidered flowers. I wore them to school under my jeans, feeling simultaneously powerful and ridiculous. No one could see. That was the point, and also the tragedy. I wanted to be seen without having to explain. I wanted the flowers to mean something obvious, the way they would have in my grandmother's village, where every stitch told a story about which family made you, which hands had blessed your skin. My mother found them in the wash. She didn't say anything. She just moved them back to the Tunisian side, deeper than before, and I understood that I had violated a border I hadn't known existed. Growing up between 2 places means you learn to translate everything, not just words, textures, expectations, the weight of fabric on skin. In Toulouse, I was the Arab girl, too covered in summer, too warm in winter, always slightly misplaced. In Tunisia, I was the French girl, my French too perfect, my Tunisian accented with school book formality, my clothes speaking of somewhere else even when I tried to blend. I learned that you could be too much and not enough simultaneously, that the body was always evidence in a trial you hadn't agreed to attend. Underneath everything, though, there was sameness, the practical architecture of being a girl, becoming a woman, bras that were about support, not shape, underwear that had to survive bike rides to school, long drives between countries, the particular humidity of Mediterranean Augusts. My mother bought most of mine in bulk during trips to Tunisia, where the cotton was better quality and the seams were made to last. White, beige, the occasional pale pink that we agreed to call nude when my father asked. Nothing that would show through the light fabrics of summer dresses. Nothing that would announce itself. I thought this was universal. I thought all mothers taught their daughters that visible underwear was a failure of imagination, a lack of strategy, a revealing of secrets that should stay negotiated between skin and cloth. Then I moved to America. The first time I went shopping for underwear here, I stood in a store the size of my apartment in Toulouse, surrounded by more options than I had words for. Thongs made of lace that would last 3 washes, bras in colors I had never considered wearing on my body, teal, coral, black with cutouts. A saleswoman approached me with a measuring tape and a confidence I found terrifying. "What's your style?" she asked. I didn't know how to explain that I had never thought of it as style, that in my family, underwear was infrastructure, bridges, not decorations. I bought a set, red. I don't know why red, maybe because it was the opposite of everything I had been taught to want. I took it home and put it on and stood in front of the mirror in my American bedroom, and I felt, what? Not beautiful, not free. Exposed. As if I had written a word on my skin in a language I couldn't read, and now I had to walk around hoping no one would ask me to translate. I didn't wear them again for months. They stayed in the back of the drawer, a failed experiment, until the night I met someone, an American, from Minnesota, which I initially thought was a state near Canada, which it is, but which he explained was actually its own kind of country. He was kind in the way of people who have never had to translate themselves, patient, curious, unaware that kindness could feel like pressure. The first time we were together, I wore the red set. I had planned it, which felt like a betrayal of something, though I couldn't name what. He didn't notice, or rather, he noticed the way you notice a room is warm, as comfort, not as architecture. Afterward, I lay awake, wondering if I had wanted him to notice, or if I had wanted to notice myself, if the red was a signal or a test, if I was becoming someone new or performing someone I didn't yet know how to be. Here's what I didn't expect. I missed the cotton, not as nostalgia, but as physical fact. The lace itched, the cut dug into places that had never been measured for such precision. I felt constantly aware of my edges, my seams, the artificial construction of my silhouette. In my mother's underwear, I had forgotten I was wearing anything at all. In this, I was a body being watched by my own skin. I started buying both. The practical, the decorative. The drawer became a conversation I was having with myself in 2 languages. Cotton for work, for days when I needed to forget I had a body and just move through the world. Lace for the nights when I wanted to remember, to feel the boundary between myself and the air, to play at being someone who had never learned that visibility was dangerous. But the real transformation happened somewhere else. In the gym, of all places. I started running. Another American acquisition, like the taste for iced coffee and the ability to make small talk about weather, and discovered that sports bras here are engineering marvels. The compression, the breathability, the way they hold you without apology. I bought one in a color called Desert Rose, which made me laugh in the store because it was the color of the walls in Sidi Bou Said, the color of my grandmother's courtyard after rain. I wore it running through my American neighborhood, past houses with lawns too green to be real, and felt something shift. The support was functional, yes, but also, and this is where I get confused about what I'm allowed to want, beautiful. Not decorative beautiful, efficient beautiful. The beauty of something that knows what it's for and does it well. I thought about my mother, How she had raised 2 daughters in a country that never quite accepted her. How she had managed the logistics of our double lives with a precision I was only now appreciating. The mesh bags, the separate loads, the way she taught us to care for fabric so it would last. She had been building infrastructure too, just of a different kind. Not the infrastructure of display, but of endurance, of making sure we had what we needed to exist in multiple registers without falling apart. Last summer, I went back to Tunisia. My grandmother is older now, her hands too stiff for embroidery, but she still asks about my laundry. Do you wash by hand? She wants to know. Do you hang inside? I lie and say yes, sometimes, which satisfies her. What would I explain? That I share machines with strangers in basement rooms? That my underwear goes in with my jeans and comes out warm from a metal box? But I did bring her something, the Desert Rose sports bra. I didn't tell her what it was, just that it was American engineering, very practical. She held it up to the light, felt the fabric, nodded at the construction. Good quality, she said, for working. I almost told her then about the running, the freedom of it, the strange hybrid creature I was becoming. But she folded it carefully, set it aside, and asked if I wanted tea. The moment passed, or rather, it transformed into something else, the way moments do when you carry them in more than one language. I think about that bra sometimes, where it is now, whether she uses it, or if it's tucked away in the drawer with the hand-stitched pieces, another artifact of a granddaughter who keeps choosing complication over clarity. I think about my mother's 2-sided drawer and how I now have 3 sides, at least. The practical cotton for memory, the decorative lace for experiment, the engineered performance for becoming. The question everyone wants to ask, I know, because they ask it constantly, in parties, in Ubers, in the polite confusion that follows when I explain where I'm from, is which one is the real me, as if authenticity were a single color, a single fabric, a single way of being seen, as if I hadn't learned at 12, standing in front of my mother's mirror with stolen embroidery against my skin, that the real self is the conversation between what you show and what you hide. The negotiation, the constant, invisible work of translation. I still wash my underwear separately, old habit, old shame, old wisdom about what deserves attention. But sometimes now I hang it where the light hits, not to be seen exactly, just to be in the sun, to let the cotton warm, the lace dry, the engineered fabrics do whatever they're designed to do, to trust that I can build my own infrastructure now, my own system for moving between worlds without losing the thread. The winter here is ending. I can tell because the dry air is beginning to soften, because my skin remembers what it means to sweat. Soon, I'll pack away the thermal layers, the long underwear I bought in a panic during my first February, the strange American inventions for weather I had never imagined. I'll stand in front of my drawer and choose. Not between countries, not between selves, but between the kinds of support I need for the day ahead. The body I have to inhabit, the work I have to do, the person I am still learning to become in all 3 languages at once. And if my grandmother asks, next time I visit, whether I still know how to wash by hand, I'll say yes, because it's true. I know how, I just don't always choose to. That's the difference between where I was raised and where I am now. Not the facts of the laundry, the freedom to decide.